Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of The Friday Charge. As always, we are your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And for today, 4th of July of 2025, we've got a handful of topics to discuss. This is a big news episode week. We're going to talk about earnings, which will take a while. We're going to talk about a really funny recall that's happened this week. We've got a lot of news about Tesla, and we've got a little bit about Ford. So, without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, so our first topic of the night, let's go ahead and just start. It's quarter two earnings season, baby. So let's recap what we know so far. We're going to start with Tesla, who delivered 384,122 vehicles in quarter two 2025, down from 444,000 in quarter two 2024. Of that 384,000 vehicles, 373,728 were Model 3 and Model Y, and 10,394 were, quote, other models, which includes Cybertruck, Model S, and Model X.
Eek. 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 And from what I've heard from stories out there, 5,000 were Cybertrucks.
Yeah, roughly 5,000 were Cybertrucks,
which means that's low for Model S and Model X.
Well, yeah, that's low for Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Honestly, 384 is on kind of right on what people were expecting this quarter. 373 Model 3, Model Y, fine, makes sense. Yep. But yeah, Cybertruck only being at maybe 5,000 units for a quarter is tough. But also, then Model X and Model S, if it's a 50-50 split, which we know it's not.
No.
That's like 2,500 a piece.
Yeah, Model X is usually on its own 10 to 13,000 a quarter on its own. So if you're talking 5,000, that's Model X. I mean Cybertruck. That's really not good.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on. Ford during quarter two 2025 moved 16,438 EVs, down from nearly 24,000 in quarter two 2024. Ford claims this dip is due to model year changeover, stating that, quote, dealers can't sell what they don't have. Fair enough.
Yep.
They also claim that the recent recall to the Mustang Mach-E has some effect on these numbers. However, that recall kind of went into effect, the last 2 weeks?
I may have to call BS on that because it just came out like a week or two ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, so do with that information what you will. That's what Ford claims. On the other side of Detroit, GM has now become the second best-selling EV manufacturer in the U.S., moving 46,280 EVs in quarter two 2025, which is up 111% compared to the same period last year. GM's best-selling model so far this year is the Equinox EV, which moved 17,420 units in quarter two, followed by the Blazer at 13,000 units and around 5,000 Silverados for quarter two. Cadillac continues to see quarter-over-quarter growth, with nearly 1 in 4 Cadillacs sold during quarter two being electric. They sold around 3,000 Optics, around 5,000 Lyrics, around 1,700 Vistics, and around 1,800 Escalade IQs. GMC managed to move around 1,500 Sierras and 4,500 Hummer EVs. Oh, so wow. GM's got a lot of EVs now, so this isn't too surprising to see them climbing the ranks here, but seems like they're doing pretty solid. I mean, they're still pretty far off from the number one spot, but hey, man, growth is growth.
Yep. And Hyundai Ford, I'm sorry, go on. We'll talk about Ford.
No, go ahead.
Done. Well, I was thinking about Ford, as we've been saying it before, they just have those two models. And right. It's kind of the same thing with Tesla. They really haven't done much except for Cybertruck with only 5,000. So that's why I'm not surprised that GM has kind of taken over second place, because they had multiple models come out over the last 12 months.
Yep. Hyundai moved 10,481 Ioniq 5s in quarter two, down 12% to quarter two 2024. They moved 3,004 Ioniq 6s, down from 3,266 in quarter two 24, and they sold 1,013 of their new Ioniq 9 SUVs. So
that's surprising. That's surprising me, because Kia has been the one kind of knocking out a park lately when it comes to growth in EV sales, and now we see a little slip. So
which we don't. I don't think we have Kia's official numbers yet.
Yep.
But I believe they are dealing with the same stuff of, they just moved a bunch of manufacturing here to the US.
Mm-hmm.
And so now there's kind of a lull in production.
Yeah.
Like, for example, EV9, they just now started showing up on lots again. Basically, every dealer had run out of EV9s because they were doing model year changeover and moving to US built cars and whatever. So,
and that is true. We've been trying to get Hyundai Ioniqs to review the 2025 year, and they're not, at least in Arkansas, there's one. I've been across one EV6 on the lots and one Ioniq 9 on the lots. Still haven't seen any Ioniq 5 2025s, maybe a few, but they're not on the lots like they were at this point last year for 2024 models. So, yeah, I can understand that being the issue there. So maybe they'll have a better Q3 or Q4.
Maybe. And finally, Rivian in Q2 produced 5,979 vehicles and delivered 10,661 to customers. Their slower deliveries are being attributed to factory shutdowns to prepare for the 2026 model year. This is down from Q2 2024, where Rivian built 9,612 vehicles and delivered 13,790.
So I'm guessing they had a lot in inventory then. If you built
I would assume so.
5K and deliver 10K. Yeah, that's that Arkansas math right there. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that big brain is that they had a lot of inventory just kind of sitting around. So at least they got to get rid of some of that inventory. So
yeah. All right. I promise you we're going to try to keep as many numbers out of the rest of the show as possible. I want to just get them all out of the way right up front, and now we can talk about other stuff. Unless you had anything else to add, Joel.
Nope. Move on.
Okay, perfect. Dodge is being forced to recall their new Charger EV. There's numbers in this one. I lied. Dodge this week was forced to issue a recall for all 8,390 Charger Daytonas they've produced so far, as the vehicles may not make enough noise at low speed to comply with the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, FMVSS.
Mm-hmm.
This is just hilarious to me because, the Charger EV has that, what are they calling it? The Fratsonic exhaust system.
Yep, it's like an outside speaker.
It's an external noisemaker that can, quote, rev up to 123 decibels. But apparently they didn't make it loud enough at low speeds to meet requirements. So the solution to this is to either get a software update, fix it, or you just drive flat out all the time.
Yeah, just go 0 to 60 all the time. You don't have to worry about it.
Just keep your foot on the floor. Studies show that's better for batteries, apparently.
That's right.
Driving aggressively versus driving like a grandma. So
no creep mode. No, just go.
Yeah, just wide open throttle all the time.
Yep.
Anyway, this is just ridiculous to me.
The most thing that I get from this is that Dodge has only sold 8,390.
They've only built 8,390 of them.
Sorry, I've only built 8,390 Daytona EVs. So yeah, I mean, Dodge is kind of digging their hole with EVs, and this is kind of another blimp in the road for them. So we shall see what happens with their EV plans moving forward. With some news you'll talk about later.
We'll see. Golly. Yep. Let's talk about Tesla some. Tesla has made its first autonomous delivery. ? Yep. Tesla last week made what it claims was its first fully autonomous delivery of a Model Y. And being honest, the video looks pretty convincing.
So I got it here, right here. I think this is it right here, correct? Yep.
Yep. Is it muted?
It is muted. See, I'm ready this time.
Perfect. Beautiful. Tesla claims that there were no people in the car, there were no remote operators, etc. The drive was roughly 30 minutes and contained a mixture of city driving as well as highway driving. The top speed along the route was 72 miles per hour. So the video, looks pretty convincing. You see it drive out the tunnel, drive away from the factory, merge into the roads, merge on the highway, etc. And there is indeed no one in the car.
Nope.
I think Tesla did state that the car was running different software than what you would get, what you, the customer, get.
Okay.
It mentioned that when the car was delivered, Tesla personnel were on site to basically switch the software from, I guess, I don't know if this was Robotaxi build or if this was a special build.
It said Robotaxi and FSD when the video started, so yes.
Okay. And so they switched it from Robotaxi build to just plain Jane FSD supervised.
Yep.
But still, assuming that Tesla is being honest in the fact that there were no remote operators for this, credit where it's due. It's pretty cool. It's pretty impressive.
It would be freaky. Driving down the road and looking over and not seeing anyone,
single soul.
a single soul in a car. It'd be kind of like zombie apocalypse kind of thing, I think, looking at it. But yeah, I mean,
Although, I mean, I guess this one probably had a posse of Tesla Model Ys behind it as
it had
well.
a Cybertruck,
So.
I think, beside that was filming it. I saw in the one video vote. So yeah, I mean, kudos to Tesla. If this did great, I mean, that's fine. Cool to them that it can do this in Austin. They did mention part of the route was that Robotaxi supervised route downtown in Austin. So
Gotcha.
that was a part of it that it had to go through.
Gotcha.
So, but the 15-mile drive took 30 minutes. Yeah, it's about average for Austin, which has
Makes sense.
horrible traffic. So yeah, cool. Kudos to Tesla, and maybe this is the direction. This is the direction we all know they're going with this is autonomous driving, and hopefully they can make something of it.
Yep. Continuing on for Tesla talk, Tesla has revealed they're almost ready to begin LFP production in Nevada. So this week they showed off a sneak peek at their new LFP factory in Sparks, Nevada, stating that it was almost ready to begin producing the battery cells. Tesla purchased older equipment from CATL to use in this factory. They're expecting this factory to produce around 10 gigawatt hours of LFP cells per year, which they are expected to use in their new Megapack products. Of note, because we talked about it last week, Ford announced recently that they are on track for their LFP factory as well, also using tech from CATL. Ford is expecting to produce nearly 35 gigawatt hours annually at their plant. So yeah, this is cool to me. I'm happy to see we're bringing LFP manufacturing here in the U.S. I'm really hoping this means we get the return of like a standard range Model 3, Model Y, with these U.S. built LFP cells. Not that it matters anymore for, I guess, federal tax credit purposes. We'll get there later. But it does matter for tariff and whatever else. And so, yeah, I'm hoping, maybe this will be some of the secret, right now that, yes, they're going to use them for mega packs, but maybe this is kind of that secret sauce to maybe getting into a, $30,000 Model 3 or less than that Model 3 or Model, Q, is that the rumored name for the new compact one? Whatever. Model C, I don't know.
whatever letter of the alphabet they use. I mean, I kind of agree with you that the sole purpose of this is kind of to get around those tariffs. It's what it was 80%. Is it back down to 25%? I don't know what it is
Lord,
now.
I don't know.
Tariffs change every day, but at one point under this current administration, it was up to 80%. So it's kind of hard to make money off cars when you have 80% tariffs on the batteries that come over with them. So
same thing for their mega pack and whatnot. Same story. Anyway, talk on the subject of Ford. Ford this week has publicly shut down the FSD rumor. So we're going to jump in our time machine and we're going to head back to 2021, where Elon tweeted that he had early discussions with other manufacturers about licensing FSD. Fast forward now to 2023, and he tweeted that Tesla was open to licensing FSD in Autopilot. Then in 2024, he claimed that they were in discussions with, quote, one major automaker about licensing FSD. And at the time, the rumor was that the automaker in question was Ford. And earlier this week, it would appear that CEO Jim Farley confirmed that to be true. So in a recent talk, Jim Farley was asked whether he thought Waymo or Tesla was correct in the autonomy war that's going on. And Jim Farley stated that he currently believes Waymo's approach is more viable than Tesla's, specifically calling out that he feels that LiDAR is a critical part to the FSD equation. In the same talk, he did acknowledge that he had a talk with Elon in the past, but ultimately Ford settled that LiDAR was critical because, quote, where the camera will be completely blinded, LiDAR will see exactly what's in front of you.
I mean, I can't disagree with that. I can't, because there are certain points when I drive my Tesla, it says side pillar camera is obstructed. It's the way the sun hits it. Or if it's like, if you live in Arkansas and you go on those dark, roads at night with no lights, it will say cameras obstructed, things like that. So I totally agree with that. I think we need both. And I know Tesla's doing it for cost cutting purposes, but yeah, I think we do need both. And I believe he's right. And, he said some other things too about, kind of getting off topic here about, what's going on in China with EVs. And he basically said, I mean, if we don't do something to compete with technology with the EVs in China and their move towards, alternative energies, that he said Ford's going to be gone. I mean, that's basically his exact words were Ford will no longer be around. And with what happened, what we're talking about in a little bit, I mean, that's probably what's going to happen eventually. We're going to see some of these legacy automakers, because they got to be able to sell globally, can't just sell in the US. And he made the comment that we don't sell in China because we can't compete over there. So,
Right.
I mean, yep. I mean, it's going to happen. It's not if, it's when.
All right. Going back to Tesla again. Tesla has opened their Oasis. So Tesla today, just in time for a 4th of July holiday, opened a new supercharger that is currently powered completely off grid. So this new site features 168 stalls, and currently half of those are live. This site features 11 megawatts of solar power, as well as 39 megawatt hours of battery capacity.
Lord.
According to Tesla, the site is currently operating off grid, hence why there's only 84 stalls currently open.
Mm-hmm.
Only 84.
Only. We don't have 84 total stalls in Arkansas.
It hurts, but it's probably true. Tesla is planning to have open the remaining stalls as well as a charging lounge later this year. So yeah, this is just super cool to me. I'm surprised it's taken this long for Tesla or somebody else to do this, to build like a actual, you can see it sits on, looks like 30, I think I read it was like 30 acres in the middle of the desert type situation. And you can see they just built a big old solar farm behind it. They put some big old batteries in it, and boom, they're ready to go. And
I'm
it's
assuming,
cool. I mean,
is that solar canopy too as well, or just a solar farm?
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I thought it was super cool. I'm pumped that this is, the first time we're really seeing this, and I'm hoping maybe we can see more soon, and maybe we'll see other, CPOs try similar strategies or try their hand at, maybe designing their own unique way of doing it. But this is cool to me because at this point, you're going to have grid probably at some point to augment, right?
Mm-hmm.
To help with like peak demand or whatever, but to be able to operate one of these stations if the power's out, or rolling blackout situations, or in an apocalypse, I don't know.
We've already talked about that, yes.
Yeah, I think that's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. I mean, that's one of the things that people always knock on charging is, well, when you charge, you got to pull, where are you getting electricity from coal, from nuclear, from something. And that, I mean, it's not a lie. That's true. So yeah, if we can start seeing these come out, not as big as this, but start seeing these pop up across multiple states from Tesla and other CPOs, I mean, that's just one big, huge step forward when it comes to charging your EVs.
Yep. And our final topic of the night, the federal EV tax credit is dead. So with today's passing of the big, beautiful bill, beautiful, ugly, I don't know.
BS
the federal EV tax credit has been given a death date. The tax credits will be expiring on September 30th, 2025, and this applies to both the used and new EV tax credit. So the $7,500 tax credit on new vehicles and the $4,000 tax credit on eligible used vehicles. So if you're looking to buy a new or used EV, maybe do it soon if you care about tax credits. Don't really have a whole lot else want to talk about this. I try really hard to not have this be a politics show.
Yep.
But politics killed it. So
yeah. So I'll just make a comment about this because I talked to my buddy that who owns an EV dealership, and he thinks that this will drive down the price of used EVs. And I mean, I'm kind of mixed about that because we already see manufacturers taking a loss on EVs. I mean, Ford, Chevy, I mean, all of the legacies are taking a loss on EVs. They're not profit makers. So I don't understand how it's going to drive down the cost of EVs if legacy automakers are already losing money on EVs. That math doesn't work out for me. So what I'm afraid is this is going to cut back on EV investment and the number of EV models that we have out there. And I mean, Elon Musk, probably wasn't a big fan of this. He's not a fan of any subsidies, but neither am I. But yeah, I mean, we shall see what happens after when we get into the later part of this year on what happens with EV sales.
Yeah, and I have a similar kind of feeling on it. I mean, I think ultimately these were good for the consumer because it helped a lot of people who might not have been able to afford an EV otherwise get into one. Especially like the use tax credit and things like that. That said, I do believe the use tax credit did cause some price inflation of the used market, because that's just how it is. And so maybe with this going away, it's going to be one of those things. I don't think the pricing will immediately fall back to where it was, before use tax credit. But I think if it does indeed cause a drop in demand, but then there's still excess supply, then it's basic economics, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with you on the new vehicles. They already have a hard enough time making a profit on them as it is. And the $7,500 tax credit kind of helped offset some of that. They were able to charge more for the car, knowing that people were able to get, whatever tax credit. I am hopeful that with this going away and probably not coming back anytime soon, I'm hopeful that maybe this helps kind of maybe light that fire, that we start seeing automakers go, okay, seriously, how do we get these things built in a way that we can make money on them?
Yeah.
And they also don't need to cost $50,000, right?
You don't need to spend $110,000 for a truck. Yes.
It's like, how do we actually figure out the price problem? How do we actually start building these affordable models? How do we start, whatever? And that's not to say they weren't already working on it.
Yeah.
But maybe we see this kind of not light the fire because the fire's already lit, but just expedite the process.
Yeah. And then you have the whole issue with tariffs and how that's playing in it. We just saw that, the U.S. is done negotiating with Canada on tariffs. So, and, Ford, I know, does a lot of work in Canada. So, I mean, I think this is it's going to be a shock here for a few months. And I'm curious to see how we come at it.
Yeah. It'll be interesting for sure.
It will.
EVs aren't going anywhere. The market's not going anywhere. It'll just be interesting to see how it shakes out overall.
Yeah, I mean, China's probably licking their lips right now thinking, yeah, we like this.
I saw a picture, I want to say, I don't know, was it Tom Malogny shared it on X? It was just the dam, and it was like the U.S., Chinese EVs. It's like you're only going to hold it off for so long.
Yep.
Especially when you start looking at things like, I think BYD announced a new variant of the Seagull that's like $11,000. If they sold it for $11,000, even if it got stuck with 100% tariff,
that's $22,000
over here. $22,000 is still way cheaper than any other EV we currently have in the U.S.
Yep. I mean, and that's what people don't understand is that our legacy automakers have to compete globally, not just here. And I feel like with these policies, we're becoming more of an isolationist country with EVs, and we see China, selling EVs in Australia and India and Europe and all these other places that our legacy automakers are not selling EVs in. So that's the issue. I'm not worried about America, but I am a little bit, but I'm more concerned about global EV sales from US automakers and how that's going to go.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And I'm curious. I'm really curious, man. How long is it until we see a Chinese EV in the US?
Yeah.
Like realistically, right? Some would argue we already have them.
Yep.
With Volvo building things like EX30 in China, although I guess now they're moving them to Belgium, so whatever. But like, how long until we see like actually see like BYD?
Yeah.
Try to launch a car in the US. VinFast did launch, their Vietnamese launched a whole new company recently in the US. Anyway,
or you see one of these Chinese manufacturers partner with a legacy automaker to get their cars over here. I mean, so
who knows? It's interesting.
It's interesting. The next several years in the EV market here in the US is going to be interesting.
And hopefully we will be around to tell you all about it.
Gotcha. So question, before we leave, did they strip out the federal EV tax charge here this year?
Yes.
Okay,
I believe that was stripped out. Okay. So there will not be a federal, what was it, $200 a year registration fee. That said, we live in Arkansas, so we still pay a $200 EV registration.
But for someone like me, that would be $800 a year. So $400 for state and $400 for federal, which is not chump change.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not what someone's paying in gas taxes on a gas car either. So, I mean,
no, God,
not even close. I mean,
that's a whole different.
If you do the breakdown of the 1 cent on a car, I mean, the average person probably pays a little more, a little less than $100, about $100 to $120 a year in gas tax. And here we are paying over, we're paying $200 a year for an EV tax. So it's not fair. It's not fair. But.
And then our roads are still terrible.
Our roads are still terrible. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But hey, we can buy $19,000 podiums.
That's right.
Other things. Anyway, okay, sorry.
If you're curious about that story, Google it. Yes. So.
Yeah, you can Just Google $19,000 podium. I'm sure you'll find it.
Yep.
Anyway, Joel, you have anything you want to talk about? Anything crazy happening to you?
My Tesla, my first repair on my Tesla got fixed. So I got the AC back. Did we talk about that last week or not? I don't think we did because I didn't have it back yet. I didn't have it back then because I think my wife picked it up. I don't remember. I was on vacation.
That's right. Yeah.
The original repair cost from Tesla was $3,800. I got a place that does locally here, and I found out this too. So for a garage to be certified to work on Teslas, it's a training course they have to go through, and it's $5,000.
Okay.
For the shop
honestly,
to go through.
Not that bad.
No, I was talking to the guy that's working on the body of my car, and I've asked him if he has any interest. He says no, he's looked into it, and it's $5,000. And I guess you probably got to train a technician, and then my thing is what happens if that technician quits like 2 weeks later.
Right.
So,
but I mean, I still don't feel like $5,000 is
No.
that much money for.
No, you can make that up in a month. You can make that up in a month or a couple of weeks. Yeah. So what she did is she called me, and so this is the interesting process. She informed me first that Tesla sent them the wrong AC manifold. So I guess because that was maybe a mid-year refresh or something that happened with that 2020.
You have a 2020 car, don't you?
It wouldn't be.
So you were in the phase where they were just slapping them together.
Yeah. So she got the wrong AC manifold, and Tesla had to send another one overnight, but it was a holiday, so that delayed it 1 or 2 days. And then she didn't realize that. She didn't realize, but Tesla didn't charge her for things like free. Like there was no charge for Freon on the Tesla thing. So she was like, that's an extra cost. That was an extra cost for having to take the old manifold off and put the new phantom on because they gave him the wrong one. And then I guess to recalibrate the cars, I guess when they go through service, that's a yearly subscription. What did I tell you? It was $700?
I don't remember how
much you said. It's a $700.
This is Tesla Toolbox we're talking about.
It's a Tesla Toolbox. I think it's a $700 subscription. I mean, that wasn't in the price when I looked at the fine line. That wasn't in the price of my thing, but that's something that was additional. They had to purchase for that. So you're talking $5,700 if you're a local garage you want to get up and running, and you probably have to have some sort of specs. You got to have some sort of lifts and everything like that too to meet their regulations. But I mean, I got it back. It's kick holder. I've only driven it for one trip, and that was down to the body shop. So my wife picked it up while I was gone on vacation, got back on Sunday, on a Saturday, Monday morning, got up, drove down to the body shop, and I think it's done. So I've been spying on them because I can look at them through my cameras, and they were sanding yesterday, and I guess today, from what I could see from my back camera, I think there was probably tape over the camera, and they were spray painting the little plate, the little drop down area where the license plate is, because that's the only part that was dented. So hopefully I get that back. I won't get it back tomorrow because the holidays, or I'm sorry, today, whenever we'll record this on a Thursday, so tomorrow, Friday, and hopefully I get it back Monday, and I'm good to go to start back work on Tuesday. But I'll have almost like a brand new car.
You can have your car again.
I can have my car again.
You can remember what it's like to drive a Tesla.
You can remember to not be at home and without a car in the last couple of days, and not having the freedom to go somewhere. So my son came out and said, let's go out for lunch yesterday. I'm like, we can't, we don't have a car. He's like, oh, that's right, we don't. I was like, yeah, because your mom's at work and your brother has his car at work and we can't go out for lunch. So
get to walking, Joel.
Get to walking.
Ride a bike.
It's too hot in Arkansas to ride a bike right now.
Never said anything about making it.
Yeah. Sebastian just wants to take everything over, so he wants me to go ride a bike in the 100-degree heat here in Arkansas. He's got plans. He's got plans.
I have no plans.
He's got plans. But I think that's all that's going on with me in the EV world.
I have nothing interesting going on. Just been a normal whatever. Oh, by the way, if anyone listening is interested, you can get 3 new free colors from Tesla for 4th of July. I think that expires like July 14th. So if you're looking to use your tax credit and buy a new Tesla, you can get one that's not gray and not pay anything extra.
And if you go to the website and look at them, you'll start getting random text messages that they're going to start.
And you'll start getting random text
messages from Tesla saying, "Hey, we heard you try to reach out to us. Please call us." Now they want they want to talk to you on the phone. For years, Tesla didn't want to talk to you on the phone. Now they want to talk to you on the phone. So
because their delivery numbers are down and they need to sell more cars.
Yeah,
it's amazing how that works. Customer service is suddenly back, baby.
I know. So, that's all the news for me.
Well, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. Be sure to subscribe to the EV Geek podcast on YouTube and tap the notification icon to be notified about new releases. Next week, we release our review of the Mini Cooper SE, which is just a street legal go-kart, and it's so fun.
It is.
If you guys have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below because we would love to hear from you. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.